Good day, everyone. So wait till 11:30, then we are going to start. So if you guys can hear me, I'm assuming you can hear me loud and clear. Any questions before we start the session? Anybody has any questions before we start the session? You can unmute your mic and speak up. Oh, somebody's saying no sound. Let me see. Mr. Emmanuel, no, I think you can unmute your mic, bros. Mr. Emmanuel, you can unmute your mic.
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So speak up.
Hello, I say I can hear you now. In the beginning, it's like it was silent, nobody, but now I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I said, any questions before we start the session? Who has any questions before we start? No questions? Interesting. Confirm if you guys can see my screen. Is my screen visible? Oh, can you guys hear me? Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. I can see it from my end.
Okay, good. Mr. Ebenezer, how are you? Good. How are you this morning?
I'm very well, sir. Are you?
Fine. So what's happening?
We'll be fine. We'll be following up, just learning. I earlier said at the beginning of the program that I'm new to Python, so it's something I'm taking my time to learn.
As the sessions that we've had so far, has it really helped?
Yes, it had been really helpful. Plus, that website you drop at the beginning, so it had really helpful. So I'm just taking my time to learn everything step by step from the beginning and watch some of your other videos too that you have on your page on Python.
Did I do anything on Python? That's interesting.
Yeah, you have some. I've seen one or two even before the beginning of this. I saw one video on Python.
I didn't know that. I've
Yeah.
forgotten rather. So for those that cannot have issues seeing my screen, I hope my screen is visible enough for everyone to see.
Sorry, sir, I can't see your screen from here. I don't know why.
Ogasa, even me, I
can't
can see. Wait, I don't understand. But you can see the screen, but you can't see what is written, and you cannot see the screen at all.
I can't see it
At all?
all. Yes.
Please tell and rejoin. Who else cannot see my screen at all? Who else cannot see my screen at all? Hello? Can you guys hear me at least? Do try and respond if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Can you also
Yes, I
see
can
my
hear you.
screen?
Yes, but your font is very tiny.
Elizabeth, is that you?
The screen is
Sir,
visible.
I think the
You just
problem is
need
from my system.
And the
I
font
can
is
see it on my
tiny
phone. I
now.
just log in from my phone.
if the font is tiny, you just need to zoom it if it's
No,
possible.
can you see it
Ehen.
now?
Yes, it's better like
I
this.
can see it.
Who is this person talking? Is this Elizabeth?
Yes.
Anyways, that's fine. So good day, everyone. Welcome to yet another session of Python programming. I mentioned earlier that the reason why we are interested in knowing all of these things that look like it doesn't make sense is so that we can understand the fundamentals of programming and use it in application to data analytics. And so it's like a bricklayer knowing how to mold block and lay the block. Without it, you are just somebody who have an idea but really doesn't know anything. I was asking if we have any questions from our previous session, but nobody's saying anything. So my assumption of that is that everybody knows. So we will continue from our conditional statement, Python conditions or if statements. We said, let me see. I think for this case, I'm going to open another new Python Jupyter lab file. Let me rename. I would say Python maybe Python programming 2, and let's see. Okay, so Python programming, because I'm too lazy, and now we are going to start by giving our sorry, I have to attend to two things at the same time. I have to admit people, and I also have to concentrate on what I'm doing. So we said assuming a variable called a is equal to 3, and we have, or we say b is equal to 4. So basically, if we say, if we want to test if a is equal to b, we'll say if a equal to b, and I'm going to get false because a is not equal to b. So basically, you use these as so you use some of these operations or operands as a test. So there is if a is not equal to b and is not is exclamation mark equal to b, you get false. If a is less than b, you get true. If b is greater than, if a is greater than b, you get false. If a is less than or equal to b, you get no. You get less than or equal to, you get less than yes or equal to. If you say if a is greater than or equal to b, you get true. You get false as well. So it's going to take greater than or equal to. So it's or. Either condition works fine. So if I say, if I want to write an if statement now, so because I want to print out something other than true and false, I can say if a is greater than or equal to b, then what do I want? Print a, and I give space, is greater than, and I give space, then comma b. Else, if not, I can say else, and because I'm too lazy, I'll just copy this print statement. A is what? Less than b. So you can see A is actually 3, b is actually 4. Is a greater or equal to b? A is neither greater or equal to b, and so it's going to print a is less than b, and a being that a is what? A is 4, a is 3, and so 3 is definitely less than 4. So remember, we made mention of indentation. So if anything after the hyphen becomes a child of this particular expression, you understand? So always remember that. Now the else statement is in the category of if. So if this thing is not like this, then what else? Which is why we put the else statement. You understand? So it's in a different kind of category. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. Let me try joining through my my web browser. My application is acting funny. Just hold on. Teams. Application is acting funny. It's not responding. Just hold on a little bit. Can't even find Teams application again. Oh, I can find it now. Sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay, sorry. I had to go off my Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
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 I think I'm going to change the setting of this so that I don't have to admit people because it's taking a lot of my let me see. So just hold on. Let me change the settings of this so that people can just log in. But before then, who has any questions? So I think I've changed the settings. Anybody can enter now without me having to admit them or having to tell you to having to mute your microphone. So just please, if you know you are not going to say anything, just mute your microphone. So there is also so the else, like I said, is in case if this particular condition is not true. Now, what if I want to add so if I want to add another condition, okay, what if A is less than or equal to B, something like that? So I can then say if A is greater or equal to B, I'm just going to copy this. Print. So print now is a baby of if A is equal to B. The second print before else, maybe a different condition. I'll say else if something like this, but this time around it is L if. Then I'll now say L if I can now write my condition if A is less than B. So let's just say we're going to print three conditions. If A is less than B, then print. I'm going to copy this because I'm very lazy. else A is equal to B. Now, if I run this, I'm going to get A is less than B. Now, but if I go and change the initial variable to 4 and I run it, and I come back here, what do you think is going to print? Which of the print statement is going to come out? Who can tell me which of the print statement is going to come out? Is it the first print statement, second print statement, or the last print statement? You guys can unmute and talk for anybody that wants to. Hello, this is
Yes,
not.
sir. I didn't get the
this is
question.
conversation. So
Sorry, sir. I didn't get
I
the
went to
question.
change my variable. Can you hear me? I changed my variable of A and B equal to 4, 4. So A is 4, B is 4. I now run this. I have changed my variable. Now I want to print this same condition. I'm saying that which of the print statement is going to come out? Is it the first print, second print, or the third?
The third one.
Why?
You changed A to 4, changed B to 4.
So why is the third one going to print out? It's
Yes,
correct,
because
yes,
they are
but
equal.
why?
Yeah, because
Because
No,
they
A
have
and B
the
is
same
equal.
variable.
that is not the yes, it's true they have the same variable. That much is obvious. But why? I did not give it if it is equal to, but why would it print out equal one? I didn't give it a condition if A equal to B, right? But why do you think it's going to print out this? Who can tell me the logic behind it? It's true, yes, Elizabeth and the other person that just talked. But why? Who wants to try? Hello. Who wants to try? Oh, hmm? Everybody is quiet now. The reason is because in greater than, less than, there are only three things that can happen. If something is not greater than is less than, and if it's not less than is what? Is equal to. I don't know if you understand that. Hello.
Yes. Since
So
4 is not greater than 4, and 4 is not lesser than 4.
it's not less than
So
4.
4
The only
is
option.
equals to 4.
So you remember in if condition of Excel, it will say if logic. You write the logic, right? Then it prints true, else false, right? Now, if you say if in Excel, it will now be if A is greater than B, right? True, else what? We'll now say if, because we have a third logic, we'll now say if. So this will now be, in Excel, it will now be A is greater than B, right? Else, if A is less than B, we'll now say A is less than B. Now, basically, if it is true, if it is false, it will now be what? A is equal to B. The reason is because if it is not greater than, it's less than. If it's not less than, it's equal to. That's basically it. So that's the reason why it's going to print out false. So you see, it's more a logical, it's a logical operation. And in this if statement, let me just make this, I'm going to comment this. Also going to comment this. I am going to make it a markdown, and let me add, I'll just print this. So basically what this is what you see here in Python. Excel made it very easy. Python wants to give us headache. Sorry, excuse me. So we have what they call logical operators, and or. These are what they call logical operators. So you can use them to join two or more conditions. You understand? So for instance, let's say we have another variable called C, and we have 7, for instance. Now we want to write we want to combine two operations. So if A is equal to B and C is equal to or is less than B. Now what the AND condition does is it will make sure that the first operation is true and the second operation is also true. Otherwise it's not going to work. So it's going to say print. If I say print the AND operations work, and I don't ask it to print out a false, I didn't say else print it doesn't work, it's going to print out a false for me. The reason is because yeah, it's supposed to print out a false, and that's the reason. The reason is because C is greater than B, but I don't know why it is not. But it is supposed to print out a false. But I can then say else. I'll say print I'll say AND operation work, but the logic is not correct, something like that. But it doesn't fulfill all the condition, all the criteria. So the reason is because the reason why it's printing the else statement is because it is going to make sure that this two is correct before it prints out this guy. So if I say C is greater than, and is what do you think is going to print out? It will print out the other one because both conditions work. A is equal to B and C is actually greater than B. Is that not? So because C is 7. So if I say, in this case, if I say or, in this case, and I can say or by just writing literally or, it's going to print out the first one. The reason is because, so even if I say less than, which is not true, it's still going to print out the first one because only one condition has to be true for this or to work, for this print to work. So the logical operation for AND is that both of them has to be true. Logical operation for OR is that only one of them has to be true. Now, if all of them is false, it's going to print out the second one because none of them is true. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And there is
very well.
also a not operation, a not logical operation, and there's also not, sorry, and not is basically you are negating something. So if not A greater than B. I'm just going to copy this. So basically you are saying if A is not greater than B, and you can use this not, you call the not before anything. If not A is greater than B, print this, or else print the next. It's going to print out the first one because A is not greater than B. So interesting stuff. So what we did here in Excel, this is a logical if statement. This is what they call a nested if, right? So you can also achieve, so a nested if is basically an if statement inside an if statement. Do you understand? And so how it works is, let's say we have x is equal to 40. I will say if x is greater than 10, for instance, print x, I'll now say comma, is greater than 10 I can then do a nested if and say, okay, if x is greater than 10, print 10. I can then say if x is greater than, okay, move to the next test. If x is greater than 20, it's going to still print x is greater than 20. Else, sorry, excuse me. I can then say print x is not, or let's just say x is less than 20. Now it's going to do two print statements. Why? If x is greater than 10, which it is, it's going to print the first one. And before the if statement terminates, because you are running a program, you are running an instruction, you are now saying if x is greater than 20, so
We can't hear you,
before
sir.
the print, no, sorry, before the print statement terminates, we are now saying x, we are still trying a logical operation. If x is greater than 20, it is, so it's going to do the first print and the second print. And if this is not true, it's going to say, it's going to print the first and the third. If it is not true, if the second logic is not true, so x is greater than 10, x greater than 20. So if I say x here is 15, it's going to print the first and the third, you know. And so this is how you use nested if. And again, you might be wondering, why am I too bothered about this? What does this mean? Like I said, you should be patient. There is also, in case, let's say you want to write a logical operation, and you don't know what you want to write. Let's say if x is not equal to 10, and let's say you are confused as to what to write. Maybe you are thinking about it. You can write the statement called pass. Now, what pass does is it makes sure that whatever logic you are writing doesn't give you an error because you don't have anything. Now you can see it's not showing me anything, but if I still do that same thing, if x is not equal to 10, and I just put my hyphen, ordinarily I'm supposed to follow it with something. I just put my hyphen without, because I am clueless as to what I want to print. I'll just, let me just run it like that. I'm not commenting it. I'm just running it like that. It's going to show me an error. What is the error? It says incomplete input. And that's because I need to pass in something. So you can actually use the pass statement. This is a pass statement. Is what they call a placeholder. for when you don't have anything to write. Does that make sense? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
yes, it does.
you use
Yes,
you
yes.
use past statement as a placeholder in case you do not know what you want to do with your condition. Make sense? The
Yes.
next thing we might want to talk about is loops. So you know what loop is? Who knows what loop is? English language of loop. What's a loop? Who can tell me what loops are?
So I think that loose means going in cycles, like
Exactly.
repeated pattern. Yeah.
So in Python, there are what you call loops. And for loops, you have two types of loops. You have while and for. So, but in what is mostly used, for is the mostly predominant loop. And that's because you can use for to iterate through items like list, dictionary, and so on. So for instance, I have a list of let's say of different items. Let's see, I'll name call Elizabeth that don't use to see. I'll say Elizabeth that don't use to see. So this is my list. And I told you that if you want to access any of the items in this particular list, all you just need to do is just to say A, and you call where the placeholder of the items is. So, and we start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's say I want to access the item 5, like that. Now, what if I want to access all the items at the same time? I just want to move through all the items at the same time. You can use what they call a loop for it, specifically a for loop, right? And basically, I would say I'll use the syntax for. Now, I want to loop through this list. I can then say for John in A, right? And I'll say print A, print John. What do you think it's going to print? Who can tell me what it's going to print? Who can guess what it is going to print? Who will tell me what it's going to print?
It will print John 5 times.
Elizabeth that don't used to see.
It will print everything in that list.
So it will print
Exactly.
John
So
6 times, I think.
It will replace
not-
A with John and print everything in A.
Interesting. So it's going to print every item in this list. Oh, sorry, I forgot the print. Sorry. Please make sure you write your print syntax correctly. So it has printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Every item. So let's say I only want to print let's say I want to print only, let's say I have a list, right? Let me give a list. I have 1 to 10. I want to print only odd numbers. What do I do? I want to print only the odd numbers in this list. What do I do?
Print
Who can tell me?
odd numbers.
I should just print odd numbers.
That what you can do is you can pass a condition that if the particular number divided by 2 is divisible by 2, like the modulus. I think
Okay,
you
you are
talked
speaking.
about modulus.
Let's talk in clear terms. You say divisible. What is divisible? We don't know what divisible by 2 means in Python. So you said modulus.
Yes, if the
Continue.
modulus gives 0, if the modulus gives anything that's not 0, then you should print it.
It's easy to talk.
That's what I think, sir.
Why that is true. So you said for who is the one talking? Who talked now? What's your name?
It's Joshua.
Joshua. For Joshua,
Yes, sir.
in B, if Joshua divide by if Joshua modulus 2 is not equal to 0, then print Joshua.
Yes.
Is that not what you said?
Exactly, sir. That's what it is.
Okay. So let's print it. Is that not?
Correct.
So remember, if we say for Joshua, and you can use anything, I can say for I in B. This is just an item. This thing is just an item. I'm saying that for every item in B, that's just exactly what I'm saying. For I in B, if I say print I, it's going to print 1 to 10, right? I'm now saying, giving it an if condition. If Joshua divide by 2. So ordinarily, modulus is to check remainder of something, right? After division. Remember in our modulus, what we define modulus as is to check the I think it was Elizabeth or somebody with Chechi that was asking a question, and I now said, don't you remember what modulus is, right? So basically, I'm saying if whatever this is divide by 2 is not equal to 0. So if it is equal to 0, it will give me a what? Odd number, even number. If it is not equal to 0, it means odd. So 1 divided by 2 is what? 0.5 is not 0. 2 divided by 2 is what? 1, no remainder. 1 divided by 2 is 0 remainder 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1 remainder 0. 3 divided by 2 is 1 remainder 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2 remainder 0. 5 divided by 2 is 2 remainder 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3 remainder 0, like that. So if whatever I divide by 2 is not equal to 0, right, then just print that number out. Anything that is not equal to 0 is called odd number, right? So it will loop through. It will now divide each of these items divide by 2, then to give me the remainder. If the remainder is not 0, then it means an odd number. So that's basically what it did here. So the same thing with even number, right? So if I want to print all even number, so this is print all odd numbers, right? Odd numbers in a list. So the same thing, if I wanted to print all even numbers, what would I do? Print all even numbers. I will say what? If so I can either say modulus or divide by 2 is equal to 0. No. Is equal to, no. I think it's modulus still. Modulus is
It's,
equal to
it's
0.
modulus. Yes.
I will now say print I, and it's only going to print what did I do? If I modulus 2. Oh, it's supposed to be double equal. Sorry. So it will just print 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And assuming I want to put them in a list, back in a list, I can just say, I can create another list called C, and I'll give it an empty list. And I can then say, if I is if I is I modulus 2 is equal to 0, I can just say then C dot append I, right? Then I will now go, I will print C. Oh, no, so, apologies. I'll just print C, and it's going to give me 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and that's how you put something in a list. So if I want to return it back to a list, I can just say, you know how I talked about joining. So basically, our C here, let me see. So let's say I have an empty list called D, and if I print D, it's going to give me an empty list. If I say D dot append, which is add, right? Append 1, and I say D, is going to add 1. So if I say D dot append 2, if I say D is going to add 2 to my list, which is 1 and 2. The same thing. So basically, it's the same thing I did here, but because I'm using a for loop, is going to go through all the items. If the item divided by 0 does not have a remainder, then append that item in this my list here to what? To C. Then all I just need to do is just to print C, and it's just going to append. Do you get? And what do I want to say? There's also what they call for loops, right? I can actually write this in simple terms. This particular thing in simple terms. I can say E. I will now say equal to. I will now put a list. I will say E dot append. I will say X dot append. Let me see. No. I'll say E dot append I for I in B if I modulus 2 is equal to 0. No. I think I'm supposed to say something. I think I made a mistake somewhere. Let me see. Oh, no. Sorry. Many apologies. I don't need to write E dot append. I can just say I for I in B if I, and I'll just print. I don't need to write the append. I'll just print E, and it's also going to print the same thing. So basically, I'm saying print I. So I'm just saying, I'm basically saying the same thing. Do you understand? Without having to write all of this stuff. So this is what they call list comprehension. And it only works for lists. I don't know. Python is just funny. So what you are seeing here is just this. It's a bit confusing. It takes time to learn list comprehension, but you can use it just so that you don't write so much code. You can imagine I had to create a list, I had to do a for loop, I had to do an if, I had to do an append, I also had to do a print. So I just did it in one one long line. So they call it list comprehension. It's a Python it's a Python shortcut for looping through a list in case you want to do some crazy stuff, right? And if I say, so here I can say I multiply by 2, and it's going to print out 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So you can do a lot of crazy stuff with it. Interesting stuff. It has its use case anyways. Any questions before we continue? Who has any questions? Any questions? Am I still audible?
You're audible, sir.
Hello. So any questions? Abi, somebody is feeling headache and is confused. Hello. Questions? Any questions? No questions?
No question, sir.
So this is your assignment. Let me give you assignment. Read on while loop. Okay, let me put a mark down. Also read on break and continue. So this is your assignment. I'm gonna save this. Before we go to crazy things, I want to show us how to use this print statement. I want to show us how to use print statement. I think it is really important I do that before I move on. The reason is because it is pretty interesting. So you can actually use the print statement in different style and format. I would say, yeah, in different style and format. The first print statement that you guys know is ordinarily print, right? So I can say my name is John. And I am 34 years old, basically. And it's gonna print. And let's say I want this name to change, right? I want this name to change, and the name and the age to change. So I'll just say A is equal to, let's say, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is in my radar today. And I'll say B is equal to 50. Now, how do I incorporate this? I can then say print my name is, I will now say comma. I will say A, comma. And I'll say comma B, comma, I'll say years old. This is one way to go about it. I think I would say I basically don't need to give this space. Apparently to give it to me. So this is one way to go about it. The other way to go about it is I can say print. I would say my name is, I'll use a curly braces and I'll put A. I'll say N. I am Is this going to work? Oh, it's not going to work. Oh, but I'm curious now. It's not going to work actually. Yeah, the reason is because I'm supposed to say dot format, and I'll say A, B. No. I've forgotten how to use this stuff.
So I think you can put F in front of the quotation.
Oh no, there's the F string as well. Yeah, true. There's the F string. Sorry. There's also the use of F string. I think was that what I was trying to do? Oh yeah. There's also the use of F string, but there's this one dot format. Let me check. Print dot format in Python. I've forgotten how to use this stuff. the kind of things I do in Python, I don't use a lot of print statement any longer. So you tend to forget things that you don't use as such again. But let me check. Oh, sorry, please. I'm trying to look at. Sorry, hold on. Is anybody trying to say something? Oh, I'm not supposed to put anything there. So there's another way to print. I'll just say print. Again, I'm going to copy this. This is the use of F string, according to who made mention of it. So I can just leave it empty, and I'll just say dot format. Then I'll just say A, B. What am I doing? Oh, I did not end this with a yeah. So this was what I was trying to do. So you can use the comma to separate and add your variable. You can use the F string like our who made mention of this?
I'm the one, sir.
Sorry, I'm not seeing you, so I wouldn't know who's speaking.
Okay, it's Joshua.
Oh, Joshua. So you can use the F string and you can also use the dot format. It's a pretty interesting thing. So if I say now, because Python counts from 0 to 1, so if I put 0 here and I put 1, it will start from the first item in the format. It will still say Elizabeth. What does that mean? So if I put 1 here and I put 0 here, it's going to change. So my name is 50 and I'm Elizabeth years old. So it uses the item like in a list or a tuple as well. So it's assuming that A is 0 here, B is 1. But if you leave it empty, it will give the it will assume the value of the first curly braces to be 0 and the second to be 1. Just so they are also let's say I want to print out let's say I want to print out Elizabeth, but I want to print it out in like Elizabeth 50.0 years old or 50.2 50.0 years old, right? I can say 1. I'll now say I think dot 1f, if I remember correctly. Oh, what? Oh, I'll just say dot 1f, I think. Forgetting this stuff. Is it dot 1 or dot 2? Yikes. I have forgotten. It's been a while. I've forgotten this formatting thing for decimals. Oh, integer has no attribute 1f. Okay, I see. And that's because this is an integer. So if I have dot 4, maybe Elizabeth is this. If I print this, so because it's an integer, oh, sorry, any apologies. So it's supposed to be like this. A semicolon, then 1f, it will print it will print I think it's supposed to be one decimal place. I can say dot 1. Oh yeah, so it's supposed to be hyphen then a dot 1. So if I want it in two decimal places, you can see if I want it in 0, it will be dot 0f. It will just be 50 years. And so you can use this to control how you actually want to see numbers. Basically, you are going to be using this in Python a lot, especially in data analytics. If you are actually trying to if you are trying to do some analysis and you want to see a different kind of output. Yeah, also find out, one of the assignments I will give you is to find out what ranges are, how to use them. Range. What else? Sorry. So I think basically that's it. What is my time? 12:28. Before then, the next thing we'll be going to is function and classes. Any questions? You guys can see how they create topics and subtopics, right? You just need to change the cell from code base to Markdown. Markdown is it's a language on its own. It's like HTML, and you can do crazy stuff there. So I think if you do 1 hash, it's the header. I can do 6 hash, it becomes smaller. If I want an ordered list, I'll just say hyphen, and I think if I use the asterisk, I can't remember asterisk I. Oh, it's still going to show me that. And oh, I think just check what markdowns are. I think there's a markdown. There's a documentation for markdown, so you guys can use it, especially when you are trying to write your documentation and stuff. So they use markdown a lot. I'm going to send you a link. I'm not going to send it on the group. I'm going to send it for only this particular place here. Anybody that want to use it, I've sent. Try and copy it. If I see it on the group, I'm going to delete it. So please. So I sent you a guide on Markdown, and this is basically an introduction to also the reading of documentation. From here on out, you guys are going to be doing a lot of research on how to do stuff. And all of those, how do I do this? How do I do that? People asking me questions on how do you download Anaconda and install it and stuff like that. I would definitely not answer those questions any longer. I might answer it personally, maybe if I feel like it, but frankly, I will not answer all of those questions because in my head, I'm seeing all of you as colleagues now. You can give me something to do. I can also give you something to do. And I will not give you the benefit of that you don't know it. If you don't know it, it's fine. But not trying to do research before you ask questions, I will not. It's no longer tolerated because the assumption is that everybody is a senior man stroke senior woman in this particular class now, where we've reached. So we are going to be creating class and functions, and basically you use this for what they call object-oriented programming, and that's because Python is an object-oriented programming language. And you can use this to store stuff, you can use this to create libraries, and basically you use this to create libraries, you use this particular function and classes to hide things, you use it to represent certain things. If you don't want to outrightly you use this for repetition. If you don't want to have to repeat something, let me give you an instance. Or let's say I want to do addition of something, and I don't want to have to be creating addition every time, right? So I can create a function. If you want to start a function, you start with def. Now you define what your function is. So I will say math. Let's just say addition. That's the name of my function. And I'll say I want to add two different so the function takes in an argument. It can be one, it can be multiple. So I'll just say a comma b, or I can just name it to be Yusuf. Let me see. I'll say Joshua. It can be anything, it can be any variable. I'll now say C is equal to Yusuf plus Joshua. I will now say print C. Right. Now by the time I run it, nothing happens, and that's because I've not done anything. Now let's say I want to do an addition of something. All I just need to do is to call the name of this function addition, and I'll now say a comma 9. And you can see it already gives me 17. I don't have to go through the hassle of saying a plus 9. Or I can say addition. Now you know my first variable. My first variable is Yusuf. I can say is equal to 10, and Joshua is equal to 100. And I'll run it, and it will give me 110. So if you use addition 8 comma 9, is assuming that Yusuf is equal to 8 and Joshua is equal to what? 9. So you can either use this, or you can suffer yourself to use Yusuf is equal to 10. So basically this and this are the same thing. So this is how you actually create functions and use it for repetition because you are too lazy to do stuff. Let's say I created a new file and I call it module, and I'll just say .py. Does this person that has unmuted themselves want to say something? Somebody just unmuted their mic. Do you want to say something? Bashar, how are you doing? Why are you unmuting your mic? Are you just joining? So let's say I created a Python file and I created a subtraction function, and I'll just say x comma y, and I said this thing is z, or I can say print x minus y. Either one is fine. X minus y. That is my file, and I save it. Now I created for the people who are asking me that, I created a Python file called module. Now in a different file, and I want to use this file elsewhere. I can say import. I can say from module import subtraction, and this is how they write libraries, if you don't know. I think it's subtraction I use. Now I can see it's not giving me any error because I'm saying from this Python module, import what? This subtraction function. Now I can now say, let's say subtraction, I'll give it an alias. I want to give it a different name. I can say as S sub, for instance. I've renamed this subtraction function to be sub, and I will now say sub. I'll say 20 comma let's say 20 comma 18 is going to print out 2. Do you guys understand how you use those libraries, math, import this? And I can also say, right, there's another way I can actually import this. I can just say import module, right? And I can then say module dot subtraction. Remember when we use import math, so and it's going to give me 2. Who can remember when we use import math last session? What is that import math?
Yes, I remember, sir.
So this is how you do that. Aha, so we use import math, and where I say math.str, right? I can say from math, literally from math, import square root. Oh, so I think it's math. Yeah, and I can say sqtr. What's the square root of 4 or 16? It's going to give me 4. So you do you now understand why this is possible? So basically, we've created a module or a library that we can actually import to our a different file, and we can actually use it. So this is how they actually create Python modules or Python libraries. So in the by next week we will talk about the solely class and function, and we'll create different modules. And the assignment is gonna start there. Any questions before we move? Before I tell you guys goodbye, ask questions. So let me send you this file now. Any questions quickly?
Okay. Hello, sir. Hello,
I can
can you
hear
hear me,
you.
sir? Okay. I just want to ask the function that you created. You used print. So I have seen a function that use return. Is there any difference between the two? Is there any, like, can you use print, you can use return, or they can be used interchangeably?
No, you can't use it interchangeably. I've forgotten the use case, but you cannot use them interchangeably.
Okay.
Any other questions? They have a use case for each of them. I will find out what they are. I never really bothered to know what. Interesting. I'll find out what they are. Remind me in next session, hopefully, if we're alive and well. Any questions? Nura Jibril, Abolaji Kazim, who is Ogona, Dr. Oluwakemi Stella Olaniyan. You don't used to say anything. You are not as vibrant as before. Justice, Mubarak, Mercy, Yusuf Musa, how is your dad? Abdulhab Idris, Amin Abagudu,
Yes,
Adijo
sir.
Ibrahim.
Thank you, sir. He's getting much better now.
So thank God.
I've even returned back to work this week.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Adijo, I didn't even know you are here. Good morning, sir. Awal Kasim.
I'm here, sir.
You are not talking, no.
Sir, I'm here, sir.
I say you are not talking, no. You are not talking. You guys are not talking.
Today we are learning now. Everybody is learning. We'll go and redigest it back.
No questions.
No questions, sir, from my end.
Awal Kasim, good morning. How are you guys? Our good, no questions. Mumina Yusuf, no questions. Taiwa Adeni, no questions. Abdulwahab Idris, no questions. Everybody is quiet. Elizabeth,
No,
you
sir,
not talk.
Sir, please, can I look at the assignment again, sir?
I'll send it to you guys. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send it to you guys now. Any questions? Nobody's saying anything. Why now? Don't fall my hand. Talk. You guys used to be vibrant. What's happening? You said the cat caught your tongue.
It's Python.
Yeah? Sorry?
The python has beaten us. So we are trying to look for the antidote.
This is not Excel and SQL that everybody has opinion, right? Python is a different, but it is interesting once you get to know it. It is really interesting. Like, it is really interesting. It has its use cases. The way I actually use tools are based on their use case. Which one would give me the result accurately in the shortest amount of time? If Python would do that, I'll use Python. If SQL will do that, I'll use SQL. If Excel is going to do that, I'll use Excel. If it's visualization I want to do, I know I'm going to use Power BI or Tableau. So it depends on the use case you get. So one of the reasons why we're actually teaching Python is so that nobody will be left behind in terms of what the request is out there. People have a lot of crazy requests, really. If you even go out there to go and see what's really happening, frankly, for data analytics, you can't actually keep up with people's requests. They ask ridiculous amount of requests, like ridiculously. Very interesting stuff. Sorry?
I said you are correct. Sometimes when I look at data analytics job, their description, their requirements, I will be like, I said what you are saying is actually correct.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we will want to do is to try as much as possible to arm each and every one of us with the basic tools that everybody can use, at least to say you know something.
Some even go as far as asking for R language.
Yeah, so I would advise that anybody that can learn R, please learn it. I'm not an advocate of R. R is an academic tool. I don't know how good it is, but it is good. But me personally, I'm a Python advocate. I use Python for almost every other thing. As much as tech is concerned, for automation, I use it for data analytics. I use it for web development. I use it for back end. I use it for a lot of stuff. So I'm a Python advocate per se. So I would not oppose the learning of R, but again, learn whatever it is you need to learn so that you can, you be armed with a lot of things. And it's not just the learning. Let me just learn. I don't know when I'm going to use it. Those are school mentality. When you're in school, that you'll be doing 24 credit load, 12 courses. Imagine. And what you are going to study is one course, but you are doing 12 courses. They'll say you might use it in the future. I at this point in time, I don't understand what that means. I might use it in the future. You are allowing me to use something based on might, the tendency that something might happen. I'd rather it happen than I'll use. So what I'm just trying to tell you in essence is that um if you learn it, you have to use it, otherwise you forget. Does that make sense? And it's the same goes for every other data analytics too. So please, as you are learning it, the time you have wasted, aside wasting my own time, Mr. John Enweka is not, he just kept quiet. The time you are wasting to learn it, better make sure you use it. Mr. John, how are you? Just kept quiet. Ebenezer, you're not saying anything. You are not talking now. You better talk. Oh.
We are here. We are following up.
You are following up with what? We can't hear you guys again. We'll come to the fun part. Oh. It's really important that, see, I did mention to you guys that it's not like somebody was asking me, can they use Google Colab because that's AI? You can ask how to do this. And I said to you guys that, yeah, you can use it, but it will only take you so far. And these are boring stuff that I frankly have not gone through in a very long time, even myself. Like, I can't remember the last time I went through all of this stuff. Now, do I know everything on Python? Nope, I don't. But do I know the fundamentals that will allow me do my stuff anytime I want to do anything, even if I'm going to copy a code from somewhere? Oh, yes, I do. And that's because I've tried to take my time to go through it now and then. And again, so it's one of the reasons why you see all of this thing is boring. But in the coming weeks, by the time we are done with this, we are immediately going to apply all of this rubbish that you are seeing. All of this rubbish that you are thinking that is looking funny and stuff. We are going to apply it into data set and how to play with data set. Makes sense? And it's not that we are going to go back to all those our questions from Excel that they gave us to SQL. We are going to solve all of them using Python. So you guys see an application, including the ones I gave you for test run and things like that. We are actually going to do all of those things using Python, so you guys can see its power and its capability. Does that make sense?
Very well, very well.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Please, I want to ask.
Okay, ask.
It's just a side question. That arrow that you mentioned, is it associated with SPSS?
It's a programming language, but I think it is like SPSS, but it's a programming language on its own.
Yes, sir. Like during my undergraduate, I used R for my data analysis. Sorry. Yeah, like I started learning R. Like it's a very simple and straight something, but I just later on drop it and just focus on this program.
Why now?
Like some stuff coming, like taxes at work and other things. That is the reason why but I've learned a lot. Like I use machine learning to predict students' performance using R. Basically, it is very, very interesting.
It is. Okay. Mr. Bashar has given us more reason to go and learn R. But I wish you guys good luck in learning R. Because I'm not ready to add R to my list of programming knowledge. But no, please, you guys should learn it. Any other questions? I'm going to stop recording now. I hope you guys are fine and well. Any other statements from